I'm Nick Clark. This is the Firm's Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Firm Podcast. We got an exciting show lined up for you today. Just one of those topics you guys have been asking for and been talking about. And so we got Nick, I'm Charles, and then we got our phenomenal guest today. First off, our first lady on the show, right? Dr. Keri McDonald-Hill is in the building. So we're talking about community organizer, author, just mother, parent, expertise in all these areas. And so listen, we're going to get right into the topic tonight. Keri, pleasure to have you. How are you?
Absolutely, pleasure to be here. Great.
Absolutely.
All right, well, hey, let's get into it, man. So with the topic we have today, let's start by looking at this. What comes to mind when you think of co-parenting? Keri, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, so co-parenting, when I think about co-parenting, I think about shared. That's the word that comes to mind for me is shared. Shared parenting, shared roles, shared responsibilities. So shared is the word that comes to mind for me.
Shared, that's a big one. What about you, bro?
My definition of co-parenting comes from, I guess, my experience and so where I exist with it, right? So in terms of meeting my wife and her already having a daughter. And so I think of it from the standpoint of a blend. Like, how do I come in and be parental support, be that parental figure in the space, and her father is in her life? How do I come in and find the right balance of being present and being active when my soon-to-be bonus daughter has a father? So I think of it as a perfect blend, if you will, just a mix of making it all work.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that too, because I actually shared that experience as well. So I have the co-parenting with my daughter's father, divorced, and then also with my bonus child. Because his mother is very active in his life as well. So I definitely share that experience.
See, with me, I think of compromise. That's like one of the first things that come to my head, like compromise. Yeah. Compromise, then partnership. Because I think when you talk about co-parent, it's kind of like, this is like I'm not gonna say a marriage, but it's like until death do you part, because as long as the child's alive, you have to deal with this person. As they get older, I mean, you don't have as much contact, but you still have some contact because you guys have a child you guys share. Yeah. So I think I would say, like I say, compromising and partnership. So those would be my things that I think of, because I think you have to learn how to share and be willing to give too. I think it's like give and take.
That's a really interesting point. And so they've had an opportunity, Keri, to hear Nick's story in the first couple of episodes, and they've got an opportunity to kind of hear my backstory, and I've been able to loop that in. Just tell us how you became, I guess, an initial co-parenting. Yeah. How you ended up in a co-parenting space.
So my daughter is 10.
Okay.
So it's really been 10 years of co-parenting, because even though her father and I, we were married at the time when she was born, that's when things were really starting to break down. So she doesn't know mom and dad in the same household. Co-parenting has been a serious journey, and I didn't think I would be in this place right now. Now, I won't say I didn't think. I knew I would eventually get here. I just wasn't sure how long it was going to take.
Okay.
Because I knew, thinking about all that we went throughout the divorce process and throughout the first years of her life, it was hard for me to even imagine us compromising and having the type of partnership that we have now, that I feel completely blessed. I mean, I talk about it and I think about it all the time, just how blessed I am, she is, and he is, that we have gotten to this place of maturity and wisdom. But it was a journey. It took a lot of work on both of our parts to really look at it and put it in the place where it is right now. I don't know how deep you want me to get into it.
But it's a flowing conversation in terms of what's required. But I'm glad to hear you say you weren't 100% sure of how you would get to this place. This place being, we got it worked out to a place of smooth and flowing working relationship.
We work together because, when you have all that pain, that hurts, sometimes it's hard to put that to the side. And even though you may think you are putting it to the side, you may make certain decisions where you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe that was made out of hurt. And then for me, what was really interesting was that I would get to a place where we would be in a smooth-ish position. We would, have parent-teacher conference or, dance recital, whatever it is. And, we'd be side by side. We may even crack a joke together. And then 2 days later, something would happen that would make me want to just wring his neck. And I'm thinking it was that up and down where I was like, wait a minute, we were laughing 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And now how dare you? You know, so it was very difficult, but I looked at it, for one, I had to be very, very reflective and introspective and say, okay, number one, is he really doing that to hurt you? Because some of those things, maybe he isn't looking at it that way. And I also had to try to look at things from his perspective. So it took a lot for me to get to that place. I was like, I feel like we're in the cycle. But I had to start to look at it from his viewpoint. And that really helped me to calm things down. And then I also said, you allow people to upset you. Are you really gonna allow this person to keep upsetting you? And the answer was no, because it didn't feel good at all. I'm talking about, if I would even get the name pull up on my phone, my heart would be fast. I mean, just this visceral reaction. I couldn't, it was that bad.
Like the call ID on the phone.
Just
phone
the
call.
name pop up. The email pop up.
Yeah.
Don't let you ring the doorbell. I mean, like all of that would just make me, I mean, I'm thinking about it now. And it was bad. It was bad. But now when I tell you it's this genuine, have a nice day, have a nice week. What are we going to do about this? And especially during COVID, the level of co-parenting is even stronger now, because we're having to make some very important decisions that we never even thought we would have to. And I love the way we're going about it. I love it.
That speaks volumes. I know one thing you went back to, you spoke about was, I guess, being the pain or just dealing with your personal issues about affecting the co-parenting. Do you think that happens a lot? And I'm just going to say, for men, we feel like for us, it happens a lot. Like we take the short end of the co-parenting stick because of, depending upon how the mom is feeling at the time. Like maybe she's in a good mood, we'll be in a good co-parenting state. If she's in a bad mood, we suffer. So why do you think that plays such a role?
Well, I think it's just having difficulty separating, it can be. And like I said, for me, it was the repeated hurt. But when it comes to the pain, I heard a quote, and I may or may not be saying it correctly, but it was saying, do not put the child or the children in the middle of your disagreements, but put them in the center of your decisions. And so thinking about what is best for this child or these children, and really taking yourself out of it, because sometimes it may not be what I think is best for me. So I'll go back to the visitation piece. When I tell you that was the hardest thing for me, because what I knew when I thought of fathers in a co-parenting situation, just from what I'd seen, it was the every other weekend thing. Yeah. So,
and that's crazy that you said it, because precedence was based on what she's seen. Yeah. It's just been every
that's
other
what
week.
It was. And so for me, I automatically assumed that that's what we were going to come to. It was like, this is not going to be an issue. And when he presented what he wanted, when I tell you that I cried more over that than anything else during that whole time period. Every time we would mention, because I looked at it as, I am her mother. I didn't even put the hurt piece of what did you do, and I'm the mother. I gave birth to this child.
So I know what's best.
Okay, nobody can do for her what I can do, and especially having a daughter. I mean, it was so hard, and it took us, I want to say maybe a year and a half to even come to an agreement.
Wow.
Because it was that difficult. I mean, it was painful.
What did he ask for, if you don't mind me asking? What was?
Well, I really can't remember what the initial request was. I know it was overwhelming for me. So I don't know if it was even 50. Whatever it was. There's no way anything over that Friday, Saturday was going to be too much for me.
But see,
right?
That's talking like what we talked about offline. You're talking about maybe 4 days a month. And that's no time for a father to even feel like he's vested, because lo and behold, as a child, if you see me 4 times a month, do you really know me? And it's like you're going to a stranger's house every time. And for fathers, that's not fair. And I think a lot of times, even with I'm glad you said it, I don't think moms look at that. Like dads want our time too, to bond with our babies too. And we deserve that time, because we're important too. And I think sometimes our role gets kicked back like, well, it really don't matter. As long as mom is good, everybody else will be fine. And dad, you just have to take whatever's left over. we're gonna eat, hey, you just get the scraps. No, that's not fair to us because we want our time too. But I'm glad you did say that because a lot of moms, they battle with that. They feel like, hey, I'm the best decision maker. I do this better than you. I cook better than you. I do all these things better than you. But it's how that co-parent. It's like, I want to dictate what you get to my liking, to my standard. Hey, you can get this. And if I want to give you some more days because my girlfriends want to go out, then you can get some extra days. You go some extra days now.
Somebody preach on it. Somebody speaking from experience.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, no, I'm telling it was tough. It was tough. And so, when we came to the decision, we actually sat down and it was, okay, the agreement that we came up with was that no parent was going to be away from her for a certain number of days. We looked at it like that.
Okay.
I also looked at the fact that his family was extremely involved. He has a mother and she has a grandmother who absolutely loves her, nurtures her, cares for her in a way that is beautiful to watch. And I looked at that. I looked at his siblings. I looked at all of those things and I said, she's gaining certain things when she's over there that makes her into this extremely happy child that she is right now.
Right.
But it was extremely difficult. And I wasn't sure that I made the right decision initially. But, just first it was, sitting on the corner of her bed crying, like, where's my baby's not with me? Or, it was like, it was very difficult. And I had to start to look at different things. Okay, so initially it was, okay, well, I guess I have time to go out, all right, well, I have time to travel. I was looking at things, trying to fill my life with those things. And then I started saying, no, I have time to pursue some goals. So I said, I'm going to train. I ran a full marathon.
26.2 miles.
26.2 miles.
Don't forget the 0.2, that's important.
Thank you, 0.2, and cried like a baby crossing that finish line. It was the best feeling ever.
Wow.
I said, I'm going back to school, earned a PhD. I'm going to change careers. All of these things that I was able to do that make me a better person, that in turn made me a better mother. But then it was hard.
just on the front end, it was like, nah, I don't see it.
It was hard.
Man. See, that's rough, man. See, my mom always preaches like to, especially that young mother. She was like, so you want to keep that baby all the time? You want to punish yourself like that and keep that baby all the time? That's my mom's now. It's like, so you don't want you no time. So you want to punish yourself and keep a baby away from a man that bad. Yeah. And then she was like, that's crazy to me. Cause like you talk about like, hey, now I got free time to just relax, do what you want to do, get to know you instead of being mom so much. Like sometimes I think people get in that mode where it's like your mom 24/7. So you don't want to co-parent. You're like, my mom, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm juggling this hat. And then when dad comes in, it's like, hey, that's a weekend for you to chill. You don't know what to do because your life has become that child.
You
know what I'm saying?
It was 100% that way. And I have to tell, here it is, even all these years later, it's still extremely difficult for me to say goodbye, right? So the whole drop-off thing, to this day, I have to collect myself. On the way there to drop her off, I'm already starting to miss her. It doesn't, I'm not saying it gets easier, but I try to, make sure we talk throughout the times that she's with him. And I make sure, when she's coming back, I'm all excited. And, I try to look at it from all these different perspectives to be calm about it. But it's not the easiest thing.
And how much time is it between when she leaves you and comes back? How much time is it?
Yeah, so talk about co-parenting, talk about compromise, talk about, shared, we've had those discussions during COVID and we decided on a different schedule because of COVID.
Okay.
So prior to that, we were doing drop off and pick up. We had alternate days throughout the week.
Okay.
So, you may have 2 days here, I may have 1 there. We would switch up so that we, had that. Then we decided, because the transition is now not taking place at school, it's the back and forth will seem different and may seem too much for her. Okay. So I actually allowed more days so that drop off is the way we have it now is it's pretty much like a 60-40 thing, which I never thought I would get to.
So you went from not even want to leave you to like.
But because of COVID. Right? And because I knew this is what I could tell the struggle of the, you're trying to homeschool and then in the middle of the week, or you just got off work and now on a Tuesday we got to drop her off here. It was just too much. And the distance now, we don't live around the corner from each other.
Okay.
So I factored all of those things in, but I said to him, let's try it.
Okay.
I said, and I want us to revisit this. And if I'm not comfortable with it, because I said, this is a big deal. And I also said, I just need to also make sure that I'm able to speak to her throughout the week. So, I mean, they're the parameters. And I'm sure if I say, let's go back to, the regular, then that'll be fine. But yes, I can't believe that's, but guess what else too? If I call him now, tomorrow, and say, I just want to see her, like I did that last week. I called him and I said, I want to see her. And we went to the bookstore, we had cupcakes, ice cream, took her back. I had a couple hours just because I missed her. And I'd only been away from her for 2 days, but I was like, I miss my child. And he said, okay, because we have that type of relationship now.
And I think the most important thing you said was, even in this is the COVID schedule. We're not going to do the back and forth because this is what's best for her. You keep saying, like the decision making, we want to emphasize the decision making is not like, okay, no, I don't want to drive up and down the road. No, we don't. I want to split visitation. It's what will be most conducive to her.
I cried like a baby. I cried again. When I talked to him about, let's switch the schedule up, I was like, wait a minute, this means that how many days am I going to be away from her? I mean, I was boo-hoo, didn't let her see it. Right. Like, oh, you're going to your dad's, whatever. But yes, it was absolutely what I thought and what I still think is best for her, because that back and forth during this time, it's not good.
But see, I'm going to tell you something key you just hit. It's a big point you just hit on. You celebrated her father going there, so you made it seem like, hey, that's a good thing. Because even sometimes you have parents to where they've said their dad, hey, I'm going to say their dad gives those 4 days. So the child goes over. I know you don't want to go to your dad's house, but you got to go this weekend. That's already creating a bad vibe. You know what I'm saying? That's already created a bad vibe. But I'm glad that you celebrate him the way it's like, you going to kick it with your dad? Like I guess you uplift dad. So she's kind of excited about going because she sees too, like, hey, my mom's cool, my dad, everything's cool. So the environment is better for that child too.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And the beauty, another beauty of co-parenting is that we do have that refresh, take care of you days so that we both genuinely are like, girl, when you see her, because you've had a couple of days away. So it is exciting. Like, I know daddy's going to love on me right now, and then mommy's going to fall out. Because even if I miss one day, I'm like, I fall out every time. Like, my baby,
Let me tell you, so my wife and I went to the cabin not too long ago, right? And we left our kids with my brother's babysitting. And so we leave. Every time I leave them, I'm like, okay, they call me on FaceTime. I'm looking at like videos in my phone. And we literally were gone for the weekend, right? But you appreciate the time and you immediately miss them. But here's the kicker. As soon as we got home, we put them in the car to go visit grandmama. We were 20 minutes on the highway, and I was like, you want to go back to Tennessee? Because they were in the back seat, like going at it. They were doing the sibling thing. They were fussing about it. I was like, want to go back to Tennessee?
Okay.
And that's how I looked.
Like, I just wanted to hug you, but.
So it was like, appreciate the time. If you co-parent, just appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Because that's where your mama speaking from. Your mama speaking from, that was me. Every day, your mama was in the grind. And so she like, you got somebody gonna help?
That's right.
Let them help.
But the funny thing is, you have people that won't co-parent, but you understand the importance of a father because your father wasn't there. But you won't let this man get his child. And it's like, damn, that's effed up on so many levels because you know the importance of a father, and he or she has a father who wants to be active, but you won't let them be active because you and your feelings about some things. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, jump in.
Sometimes money is a factor as well. So I have had conversations where, someone is trying to decide what visitation looks like. And the decision is, but we're not going to do 50-50 because I need child support, right? And, that gets, and I mean, that's a totally different topic, and I don't want to go too far into that, but I will say that sometimes that is a consideration, and not always for a bad reason. I mean, sometimes we do because you want the child to have a comfortable home in both settings. And if we were used to, having a combined income and having this type of lifestyle, you want to be able to keep that up. So.
And see that one is true too, because I know people who ran the situation where they said, hey, can I get more time? Because I only get these every other weekend. First thing, like you said, the mom said, no, because you're going to affect my child support. So again, it's like, so we're putting money over time with that parent.
But I think so in what I'm referencing is discussions where we're thinking that the intentions of the more time with the child is not because you really want to spend more time with the child, but it's because you want to give less money.
But let me say this then.
So,
but why do we have to go into the intentions being negative? We can't find a positive. Maybe he does want to spend time with his child. You see what I'm saying? But we just look at, he's just trying to get up on money. If he is, I'm a firm believer in, you're going to get punished some other type of way. You're going to get punished some other type, because you can cheat the system, but you're going to get punished some other type of way, because it's going to come to light. But it's some dads who genuinely like, hey man, I want more time, because I know I want to do more. I want to come up to the school, but you're making it so difficult for me to be involved. I'm about to say, man, hell with this. Because I can't keep saying, hey, Keri, can I get him or can I get him? And you saying this, and I'm like, man, you know what? I quit. But
it's a natural part of the thought process when you're going through that, for you to say, what are the intentions? And you can't just say, oh, I hope his intentions are this way. You want a little bit of, you prove to me that you actually want to be with our child or our children. And when you are with them, I don't want to hear that what you're doing is, they're watching TV the whole time. Are you all doing things together? Are you helping with homework? Are you so you want to know that that's the situation, and it's not before you say, okay, yeah, he wants to spend all his time here. Let me go ahead.
But see, and another thing, even when we talk about this money piece too, sometimes dads are getting, I'm gonna say, financially beaten. You getting so much for child support, you don't have money to do it. And moms, and that's those things too. Even when you talk about parenting, I never think when you talk about co-parenting, just because they say, hey, Keri, you can get $100,000 a month, but $100,000 a month is going to make the situation for your child to be very uncomfortable at dad's house. I don't think you should go after that. You should say, okay, what is doable for me, and what can also give him or her a great environment when they go to dad's house? Because some of the worst experience for children are when I go from mom's house, where it's everything. And then I go to dad's house, and we like, dad got a 1-bedroom apartment, or you got a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. I don't have my own room, my own space, but dad like, hey man, I'm paying this in child support. I can't do this. You know what I'm saying? And that's a hard one, man. That's a hard one.
It's definitely a struggle. I think so. For me, I know, the thought of revisiting child support to get more money, knowing that I very well could, has certainly crossed my mind. But then I think about what that would do with my relationship with my daughter's father, and I say, is it worth it in the long run? Yes, I know for a fact, it would be a better situation for me, right? I know I would, and
you can win.
I know I would win, right?
Win. Yeah.
But I mean, I've actually printed off the paperwork and looked at it, and and then said, but no, because I always believe when you talk about things coming back, I believe that when you handle things in a fair situation, things will come to you as well, and so I'm fine.
So before we spin any further, because I'm hearing all of your decision making. Mm-hmm. Who was giving you guidance as you were going through this, right? Because oftentimes that plays a huge role in the decision factor. If you just got the ball of wine and a bunch of bitter girlfriends, and this is no knock on anybody, don't get me. But if everybody is saying get him, where is the clearness committee? Where is the decision making coming from that says, wait a minute, because you said I had to take a look inside. That has to come from some source of wisdom. Where was that coming from going through?
So I am now a sharer today. I was not someone who shared then. And so I kept a lot inside and did not seek advice much at all. I did decide to go to therapy, but my therapy sessions were me just venting like crazy and her saying, okay, time's up. Like there was no opportunity for her to give me any type of, and I don't even know if that was a setting for that type of advice anyway. But most of the people who I talked to were my cheerleaders, like, yeah, girl, like it was that type of, and I'm like, yeah, let me tell you, and it could have been that that's what I wanted. So that's the type of person I sought advice from.
Yeah, because they were revving you up, girl. Girl, you better get him. Take him to the clinic. You deserve this. You deserve that. Yeah.
But I remember, so two things. The discussion about child support, my brother was involved in that one. It was my brother and his dad, and the two of us. It was the four of us had a discussion, and I walked away. I was like, I know this is not fair. I know he's getting away with, but I said, whatever. And especially, I looked at my brother as I saw him as the wise counsel that I needed, the calming source. When it came to visitation, it was actually a single girlfriend
Okay.
who had a friend who was recently divorced, who said she was living her best life when her daughter was with daddy. And I was like, but I don't want to. I mean, I remember conversations. I remember yelling at her and, like, how dare you say that? Yeah. I don't want to ever be away from my child. And, I really wanted to say to her, you don't even know and you don't understand, But even though I felt like that during the conversation, I still would kind of take it in and say, well, maybe this is, but that was actually the only one person who actually talked to me about that. Everybody else kind of felt like, yeah, it should be every other weekend.
Yeah.
Man.
Hey, but it's like I said though, that's what we know. When we talk about dad's visitation, that's what we know. That's that's what's out there. Dad gets every other weekend. He pick up on Friday, he drop off on Sunday for school. That's end. It. If he lucky, he get to pick up at 2:30, so he get a few more hours. Most of the time, he just pick up at the house outside Friday evening.
Yep.
But and then the funny thing, some dads love that schedule because it make them feel like I'm a dad, but I'm really a bachelor. I don't have kids. I can go be free and play. But some dads really take their role as like, I want to be dad. I want to be respected in this role. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a slippery slope. I think every visitation situation has to be a case by case. I think, and parents really need to sit down and look at what's in the best interest of the child. Again, not what's in the best interest of me, what's in the best interest of this child. Because this child needs both their parents. And I think the better you two work together, the better child you produce. That's why I would tell my kids' mother, like, the better we are, the better they are. You know what I'm saying? Even if we have issues, that's us. It should never be that they see that me and you got something going on because they're like, okay, they ain't on the same team. Okay, I see something. But if they see, okay, hey, if I get in trouble, mama gonna call daddy, daddy gonna call mama. Okay, cool.
Yes.
When they see, oh shoot, mama ain't gonna call daddy. Okay, daddy ain't gonna say nothing to mama. Okay, now I can play this thing. But when they say you on the same page, that helps tremendously.
Absolutely.
But let's transition into this. With co-parenting, I know, what do you do when dating? Because I know that's one of the things people hit us about, like when you talk about dating in the co-parenting setting. I know I can only speak for me. When it comes to dating, I'm gonna use my children's mother. I never really get into it because I feel like they're the space to where I trust them to make sound decisions as it relates to my kids. I do. I try to stay out of it. But for me, I'm very mindful of who I have my kids around. Like, we can date for months upon months and you might not meet my kids because I think that's a very private space. And I don't allow many people in that space because I'm like, hey, I don't want this woman here today, she gone tomorrow. They like, oh, somebody new now. I don't want that to be a revolving door. So I'm very protective about that space. I know even with me, I've had women tell me before, oh, you ain't bring your kids around me yet? No, I'm not that guy. Oh, because they use the guys, hey, you want to bake? I know we've been talking for a week. Keri, can you watch my daughter? I know we've been together, but like, that ain't me.
They're thinking he doesn't really care about me.
That
He's
ain't
not
me.
serious about me.
Nah, that ain't, but I want to see how it is because even if I meet a woman and she has kids, I don't want to meet your kids straight out the gate because we need to establish how we going with this, because I don't want to play with them. But that's about enough about me. But what about you guys?
Listen, I'm gonna let Keri go first because I got a unique situation. But I was gonna get into that too because you've been remarried, right? And so you had your daughter, and so you've been through dating and marriage while co-parenting.
Yes. So the dating piece. He started dating someone seriously, when she was pretty young. And when I found out about it, I asked if I could meet her, and he instantly said no. And I said, well, what if we go to like a coffee shop or something like that? And he said no. And I said, but this doesn't make me feel comfortable. And what he said was, you should trust me enough to trust that this is a situation that she'd be comfortable with. Now, she was too young for me to really get a gauge from her of how this felt for her.
And when you say she, you mean your daughter was too young.
My daughter was too young. So yeah, he wouldn't let me meet her. But one day he dropped off my daughter and I saw somebody in a car and I thought it was his mom or his brother or something like that. So I was like, oh. So I started walking to the car and I was like, oh, that's who it is.
Okay. Dad of a mad black woman.
And so, but I think that's what she expected was a whoa, and it was more of hi, and so that's how that piece went. Fast forward when I start dating someone seriously, he says, I want to meet him, or I want to talk to him, or I want to know more about him, whatever it was. And I said, well, he's right here. And I went over and I said, hey, you mind talking to her dad? They had a conversation, and a very long conversation. I didn't go to that whole conversation that he and I had where he told me no. I went to what is the right thing to do in this situation. And it was, I have a mature partner who is also a parent, and I know how he feels about this. I feel comfortable about the two of them having a discussion.
Right.
So interestingly enough, now his current relationship, he says to me, hey, just want to let you know, we said that we were going to let each other know when there, it was a serious relationship. Do you want to meet her? So it's completely different this time around versus the time where he said, no, you can't meet her. But it was probably A, because of all that we've gone through and where we are now, but B, because he saw how I did it.
So how soon was it when he came around with that first serious relationship? How soon was it outside of the divorce?
Oh, not long at all.
So I'm just all the reason I'm saying that because in the conversation we talked about 1.5 years before you got the visitation. So it was probably still in a rough space altogether. He didn't know how you would react.
So it took me some time to think about that as well. And my behavior was erratic, or my emotions were. I mean, my behavior was pretty, stable. My emotions were. Absolutely. So, he may have thought I would cry or I would do whatever because yes. So I agree with you. Okay. From his perspective, he may have thought maybe this is the safest thing to do to protect my relationship with this person I'm with is to not have, we don't know how so you're right. He could have.
I always think lead by example, because if it's me, I want to meet the men that are in my daughter's life. And I think, I'm not going to say a real man, but I think a mature man will come to the forefront like, hey man, I want to meet such and such dad or what have you. Because I want to let this gentleman know, hey man, I'm around your child. Yes. And if you need anything, hey man, you can call me. I've even shared my phone number, like, hey man, here's my phone number. If you need me, just let me know. Because I know my youngest daughter's situation, I met her mom's boyfriend at the time. And he was a cool dude. And in actuality, the brother ended up being a blessing to me because when he came into the space, he helped out tremendously with the co-parenting relationship. Okay. Because he had been through drama. So he's kind of like, hey man, I ain't gonna let you do that. Like, no, we're gonna do another way of doing it. Yeah. And I immediately saw a difference when he came into the picture. Because now it's like, okay, she was better on visitation. She was more giving. It wasn't a lot of this. So he was kind of there like, man, don't do him like that. And I think that was a great thing. But it was just like I said, we just met and I just wanted to chop it up with him. And I remember he even called me and they said, hey man, Amari did this. Hey, how do you think I tell this? I was like, man, you got to discipline your house. And it was shocking to other people because they were like, why you say that? I said, man, that man got to discipline his house. Because he has to have water. I'm not going to tell him he can't do this much. Now, if he go above and beyond necessity,
he has to see me.
There's a line.
But he got to do what he has to do because my daughter has to respect the boundaries in his home. You know what I'm saying? That was shocking to a lot of people because a lot of times we talk about that. Hey, don't you say that to my child.
Absolutely. That's what people think. That's big of you.
He's spending money on this child too. So I'm not gonna say just because he's spending money he has to say so, but he's a man in her life and he's a man that her mother's taking serious. Now, I don't want my daughter to ever be in a space or my children to be in a space to where they're disrespecting your partner, saying, that you ain't my daddy or you ain't my mama. Comment. No. If he say this, and if it's something, most of the time, 99% of the time, I'm gonna double down on that stamp and get on you too. So we both gonna be on top of you on that one. But it's just being a man to be at that space to where you want to meet other men, because you have a lot of brothers. I don't want to meet your dude, man. That's your man. Y'all do y'all thing over there. I don't want nothing to do with that. Ain't me, and they ain't never gonna beat me.
But to quickly, just to in his defense, I do think that it was the place that we were in. Okay. Why he did say no. You know. And to your point about the partner helping with the co-parenting, I think that same first girlfriend did help with that. Because there would be times where he would say something and he would say, well, she helped me to see it this way. And so, he would bring it into the conversation. So sometimes it can be helpful. But yes, I mean, in his defense, it probably, again, I am not a, fighter or, I'm not any of those things, but I was in a very high emotional state. And so, that could have it probably did play way heavily on the decision.
They absolutely made a huge probably impact on the decision. And so the reason I said I'll tell my story next is because we had been talking about this co-parenting topic for some time, right? And I'd be like, Nick, you the subject matter expert. And I was talking to my wife and she was like, you co-parent. But it's because I'm blessed that the situation is so good that I don't even look at it the way that people talk about co-parenting. It's almost a stigma around co-parenting that people talk like this uphill battle, but I don't look at it like that. And so I just give you the backstory. My wife and I, we met one another, and once we decided to be serious, it had been some time, almost a year. Then I got introduced to what I call my oldest daughter. So if you hear me in conversation, I never say my stepdaughter, I say my oldest daughter. And that's no knock on her dad. That's just the relationship I view, the way I view our relationship, right? So I say my oldest daughter, but we got introduced, and long story short, I met her dad. So here's what I tell people all the time. I live in a real life soap opera, like real life reality TV show. Okay. Yes, and then when Nick heard it, Nick was like, "What?" Me and my oldest daughter's dad play instruments at church together. He's the organist. I play drums.
Okay.
I go to his house. We kick it in the man cave and watch games. My son just went to Six Flags with, his older sister and her dad on Saturday. Like, it's like brotherhood.
How does your wife feel about this?
So here's the kicker behind all of this, right? So my oldest daughter's dad, and it sounds crazy if you don't get the backstory, but my oldest daughter's dad, his father is the pastor
of his church.
And so the training and the upbringing is what has helped his view of manhood. Because I'll be honest, I probably grew up in a skewed view of like this fake manhood, like, we straight. We don't gotta talk. We straight. But because of the training, because of what we were introduced to, because of what happened, we came to that place.
Wow.
And so like right now, we communicate about school events. We communicate about cheer practice. We communicate, hey bro, such and such got a game, we gotta do this. Okay, cool, I got you. If I call him right now, he gonna be like, Charles, what's up, bro? That's how we do. And so now his brother is also like a brother to me, like the way we roll. And my wife is cool with it.
Okay.
And he go to kick behind all this. People will never fully understand this, right? So my wife is close to my daughter's granddad, because he's the father she never had. And so like they got a ritual, like on Thursdays, they go walking together. And they just have these conversations and this talking. He just give her nuggets and he give her guidance. But his wife has taken me in like a son. Listen, when I tell you real life reality TV.
What is the name of your soap opera? Yeah.
It's real life reality TV. But I call her, I'm going to call her mama. If I call her, I'm going to say, hey, mama. And if she needs something at the house, I'm going to come by there and do it. But I give them so much credit for what they introduced in my life in terms of, because like the reason, and this is a quick backstory, I never say this again, but the reason I don't ever say stepdaughter is because my stepfather one time, my middle brother is Cameron. He told somebody, oh, that's Cameron's brother. And he said it real quickly, but it'll never fade away. And so that determines what, when I look at co-parenting, okay, if you're going to come in, like you said, if you're going to come in, not only do you provide discipline. So my oldest daughter, she know, like, I'm the one, like, I don't want to see tears at homework time. I don't want no slacking off. But she asked me for AirPods. She 12 and asked me for an Apple Watch and AirPods. And then had the nerve to send me 3 pictures of Jordans the other day. Because she know I'm a sucker.
Wow.
I'm a sucker. But I just got a high expectation. So I just get that backstory because I never even looked at myself as being in a co-parenting situation. My wife was like, yeah, you co-parent.
But see, that's the beauty of y'all space, though.
Yeah.
It's done in such a beautiful manner. And the child benefits. Because the child just really feels like, man, I got a village.
Yeah.
I got a village. I ain't got no drama. It's like, we just a village. And I think everything just flows smoother that way. But I think, too, that requires us to get out of our feelings.
You got to sit your ego down.
Yeah, you got the ego.
You got to sit your ego down.
See, co-parent, other people forget, too. It's compromising that. It's going to be some things you got to say, hey, you know what? I got to let that go. Yeah. And that one thing I've learned during this co-parenting journey is somebody got to be the bigger person. And sometimes I felt like it's been me a lot of times, like, man.
Hey, you say that.
You gotta take this role. Because you gotta pick and choose your battle. Every battle ain't worth the battle.
Absolutely. Yes.
Like, hey, man, stop. Oh, she wore red shoes. Why she wore red shoes? I want black shoes. Like, but that's not.
But check this out though. Here's what the way I look at it, right? Because this is my wife's ex. Let's not act like I was cool out the gate by all. This is still my wife's ex. So if you got any type of insecurity, it's like, damn, this is my wife's ex. But the reality of what you said earlier is, as long as this child has breath, they gotta work together. So you might as well just get out the way, bro. Don't be here. Either you're gonna be okay with this, or you're gonna get out the way. And so I had to get over that hurdle. Then I had to sit my ego down and just like, okay, you know what? You gotta just chill. Like, what is it about? The relationship is about what? providing the best for her.
Yeah. And see, one thing you said, even when talking about ego, and also some people, I'm not gonna say everybody, but some people deal with ignorance. They think if you get along with your child's parent, you guys still have an intimate relationship. No, we're just at a place where we understand, hey man, we have a job to do. We have a vested interest, and we're trying to get the best on this. We're trying to get the best product we can get.
Absolutely.
And the best way for us to get the best product is for us to be on the same page. It doesn't mean we're sleeping together.
Yeah.
No, I just know, hey, this is my child's mom. Hey, this is my child's dad. We got to work together to get the best product. As long as you keeping the child at the forefront, everything will always work out fine.
Absolutely.
But again, bro, that compromise. I tell you, that compromise.
It is, but you said it. Not everything is worth the argument. You know,
It's not, man. I mean, because you can always find something, man. You can always find something. You just like, oh, we at it again. Like, I think me and my children, we had to get from that point. Because like, maybe we go good for about a couple months. Then all of a sudden, it'll be just that
something.
one little minor thing.
Yeah.
Boom, here go a chain full of text messages. They mean, okay.
Oh, you light fire too. Every time you just say okay.
Yeah, absolutely. What? That's all you. What? That makes me want to.
It's just like I'm arguing with you for what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because some things too, when you're talking about even court, when the court is involved, you're the custodial parent. What am I arguing with you for? You're gonna still make the final decision. Only thing I've asked for is, I told my child's mother, just please act like my opinion matters. Because the worst thing you can do is make me feel like I don't give a damn what you say. It ain't gonna happen. No, even if you know, hey, I'm doing A, please listen to what I got to say. At least listen.
Entertain my point of view.
I see what you're saying.
So has it gotten, like, what has been the journey for you? Like, is it a lot easier now than it was before? Is it about the same? Like, how's it been?
Well, it's two kids, two different situations. I'll start with my oldest. It's the journey is still up and down sometimes.
Okay.
And that's like a up and down battle. But I think it's gotten better as she gets older. And we had some talks, and I hit her with something, I think not too long ago. It's like, hey man, just for a couple of years ago, like about being more involved or wanting to do more. And she was like, man, I never even think about it. I think to some mom's defense, sometimes you guys get so caught up in the mom mode, you just make decisions. You I'm not gonna say you forget she got a dad, but you're like, hey, I'm making decisions. I gotta make this decision.
I got this.
But it's like, damn. And I always tell moms, challenge them too, call him and ask him, hey, what do you think about this? Even if you already know the answer, just say, oh yeah, you know what? We decided to go with what you said. You'll watch how the relationship will change tremendously. Because now he feel like he's valued as opposed to, hey, I'm just a check. Here go my money every 2 weeks. Because that's how some dads feel like all we are is a bank to pay child support. We're not here to ever give our thoughts, our opinions. Our feelings matter too. And I think women have to take that in consideration. Like, he has feelings too. Things bother him. Yeah. Why isn't he valued? But going back to my other situation with my youngest daughter, through everything we've been through, we've always had a pretty decent co-parenting relationship.
Okay.
Because one thing I can say, I think she truly understands, hey man, Amara got a kick-ass dad. And I'll be damned if I'm gonna keep her away from her dad. And I'm like the same thing with her mom. Like, even when we went through certain things, that's her mom. And I always wanted to view her mom in a certain light. Because I know with me, if I speak certain negative things, she's gonna take some of those things in. And that's why I even talk about that 4 days with some of the fathers. Those 4 days, the mom say, your dad don't really want to be around you. Technically, it supports, maybe you don't. Because he don't see me 4 days a month. But the other days, you with me, so, maybe that is true. Maybe he don't want me. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say you have to speak light into those negative situations, because it's already negative that he's seeing me a limited amount of time. And his mom is saying, man, your dad really don't want to deal with you, or this, that, and the third. Now it supports maybe what I'm thinking, because I'm on his house every other weekend.
He dropped me off on Sunday. He don't never tell me I can stay a little while. Yeah.
It's like, wow. And then mom, your dad is sorry, he deadbeat. Come on, man.
We're talking long-term damage, that could happen from that.
Does. But see, sometimes I think moms forget too. And this is what I would say to dads too. Stay true to who and what you are. Because in the long run, the truth will always come to the light. And my mother used to always tell us about it. This is key. My mother never talked bad about my father. She said, you'll see some things as you get older. And I did see some things. Some things like, okay, I understood my dad. Some things like, I didn't like this, but she never, ever talked bad about my dad. And that's how I roll my kid. I'm like, I ain't got nothing bad to say. That's your mom.
Yeah. I mean,
That's your
talking badly, that may make you feel good for a short term because you're like, let me get it out, let me tell you. But then, but what is it doing for your child or your children?
Yeah.
I mean, it could do so much damage by talking badly about the other parent. So it's definitely not worth it.
Well, some parents, they want to talk bad because they want, like you said again, hold themselves up. I'm going to say I'm in first place. You in second place. As long as you will never threaten this first place seat, we cool. So I'm going to make sure I got to keep my foot on his neck.
Them egos or the insecurities. That's exactly what they are.
And I got a lot of friends who they ran into those situations. They run into those situations where it's like, hey man, every time I try to get a leg up, she gonna kick me back down. But and then too with men, man, we have egos too. They come into the co-parenting situation too. And some of those egos, and this is being honest, and since we talk honest about men and women, men have problems sometimes with the co-parent relationship because we bring our emotions in too. We want to kick it like women don't want to come with emotions. No, we come with emotions because maybe the judge say we paying child support. They ain't got nothing to do with that child. Hey man, you have to pay the amount, make it happen the best way you can make it happen, and still be a good father. You can't allow your emotions to come into now where you start being bitter too, because men can be bitter and we can act like some chicks too, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, you didn't have to use that example, but no.
Come across the table, Nick. Don't get hurt. We got our first woman on the show, Nick. Don't get hurt. Yeah.
Hey, man, I ain't trying to.
But we understand the point though. We carry our own emotional baggage that I say sometimes is displaced. We don't know what to do with it. We don't talk about it. We don't go to nobody. We don't say, okay, man, this is how I'm feeling. I feel hurt. She won't let me see my kid. We just suck it up and be like, man, and I got to pay child support. Damn that.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, then when you talk about child support services, as I always go back to, only thing they care about is money. They don't set up visitation, legitimation. They don't do that. So how the hell can you not do all this if we talking about child support? This would be a full circle thing. Hey man, dad gonna leave out of visitation. They'll say, hey, you gonna pay $1,000 a month. Oh, when I'm gonna get sent, you need your lawyer to work that out.
Or tell about the fact if you got a question, they tell you to call on Thursday.
Yeah. Hey, you need to call somebody on Thursday. Talk to them.
It's the court, right? This is like the mom can go all week to get child support set up. What they tell you had to call on Thursday.
You got certain days, and it's like, so those things are difficult. And I think when you talk about co-parenting, it's like still just being considerate and compromise and giving just the balance, man. Thinking of the other person.
Yeah.
So I think those are just, I don't know, they're just difficult, man.
And so when we talk about co-parenting, there's so many different scenarios, right? How people get into the co-parenting situation. There's so many factors that play and so many variables that can change that whole thing, the dynamic. But Keri, I'm gonna give you this question. If there was one, I guess, bedrock place to start with working towards a good co-parenting relationship, whether it was maybe a change in the relationship between you and your daughter's father, or it was something you learned over that journey, what's that bedrock place to start for a good co-parenting relationship?
I still go back to what I said earlier of, checking your emotions and not putting your child or children in the middle of the disagreements, but putting them, as I mentioned before, in the center of the decisions,
right,
and really asking the question, what is best for the child or for the children? And it's having to constantly ask that question because things, arise throughout the process. And even if you were in the same home, and still in a relationship, you still see things differently. We all, we have different ways that we parent, right? So it's already difficult enough, the whole parenting piece of how do we do this? Then you put the two separate households in it. And as you mentioned earlier, some things are just not worth the fight. It's just not, and it's like a weight lifted off when you're not going through that anymore. I mean, I am in a place where, I wish him the best and I love that they have fun together. And but again, it was a journey. And so I think the thing is for people who are not in that space and can't see themselves being in that space, it's just work at it. Work at it. Seek wise counsel. You mentioned who you're getting advice from. Seek wise counsel. You don't always need that person who's going to rev you up. And you have to really think about the people who are looking at the situation from all perspectives and are going to give you sound advice.
Right.
I think that's extremely important is who you're talking to. But it's also important to talk, to vent, to write it down, to do things that keep you in a calmer space,
right,
so that you can be a better parent.
And see, even when you talk about relationships, going back to that piece about two different houses, I sell this to my daughters all the time. the beauty of this co-parenting space is when you look at it, originally you have 2, but if everything goes right, you gain 4. So it's really a win because now, hey, if dad's over here, dad gets married, hey, that's a bonus mom you get. If your mom get married, hey, that's a bonus dad you get. So now you're gaining more parents and more people to love you. So my kids look at it like, oh man, this is a win. Like, okay. You know, so I think it's all about too how we spin it too. Because I try to spin it like it's a positive. Because I know me and your mom, we're probably not going to get back to that space, but we can stay in a great co-parenting space to where you really can win within the situation.
See, for me, I think about it from the standpoint of, again, I guess it's my situation. I think about first making a real self-awareness assessment, right? Am I prepared, when we talk about building this co-parenting situation, am I prepared to do everything that I need to do to sacrifice for this child is not mine? And the reason I say that is because I've heard so many people say, oh, that child, she don't like me. He don't like me. You know what I mean? And that's what's rocking the relationship. That's why we can't get to a congruent place of co-parenting. And I think about it like, it ain't the kid's responsibility. It's my job to do everything possible to build that relationship. And so when I started thinking about what people need to do, or what I believe a good advice would be, am I doing everything I can to make sure this is going in a good direction? Am I, similar to your same point, but am I making this with good intentions? I guess that's what I would say. Am I making this decision with good intentions? Is this the best intention for the child, or am I doing this because I want to look good? Yeah. And when I say am I look good, am I trying to be super dad because I want to look good to the person I'm dating, or super mom to the person I'm dating? Or do I really want to be value add to this child? And I think once you start with good intentions, things tend to they kind of line up. They tend to fall in place.
And you mentioned the don't like me piece for the, a bonus child.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned that language. It could be just, I wonder how my mom will feel. I wonder how my dad would feel.
The loyalty.
Like, how long, if I get too close. Yeah. So it's that conflict, and you have to consider that as well. Yeah. That's a tough place for a kid to be in.
Absolutely.
But we put them in that spot. We put them in those spots because I think if the kid is happy again, we should be good. If he or she is happy, we should be good. But we're not checking our egos at the door. My ego won't allow me not to be number one. I got to be number one. Yeah. Hold on, somebody.
It's hard. It's hard.
No, they got to go.
But
they got to go.
Listen, in the same breath of that though, how many times people just don't ask the kid? How many times we assume that the child is uncomfortable about something and we don't just sit them down and talk about it? Because like for me, I thought about it like, I want to be bonus dad. I'm doing everything. Why you don't feel? But then I thought about it, I went to her. When she got to be like, it was probably 8, 9, and she's like, okay, you don't have to call me. I'm cool with that. You don't have to call me dad. This is what our relationship is. So our relationship became more positive affirmations. It became like in my phone, her number. She has a phone that I got bacon and shrimp in front of her name, like in the emojis, because that's what she likes. And so that's what our relationship is defined around. It became those little things. But it became me trying to make sure I made it clear I'm not replacing a spot. Like your dad is there. Sometimes even in the discipline piece when they come in, I include everybody who's in her like decision maker corner. How you think grandma and grandpa gonna feel about this? How you think dad gonna feel about this when this report card come about? Because I'm letting you know this, I stand firm on how I believe about it, but I'm letting you know I'm wrapping back your support system so that she understands I'm not trying to take nobody's place. I'm trying to be value add whatever I can do. But I say that because we assume the kids feel a certain way. We assume that they feel this, but that loyalty piece, just ask them. I ain't trying to disrespect mama. I don't want to disrespect dad. I just want to play my part. I want to play my part.
And kids do, I think they're, like I say again, they think they're trying to find their way in the midst of this maze too. And adults make this maze as seamless as possible. It's easier for them because they know how to navigate through it. Where, like you say, I ain't got to be fake with you to be real, do not hurt this person. No, I can just be me and let adults work it out. But again, still keep going back to it. Adults have to get out of their own way. We have to get out our own way and see the child as this is the piece that keeps us together. Because I often joke, my youngest child definitely the glue in the two families.
Okay.
She want her family together 24/7. Like my mom was just here a couple days ago. So she said, Dad, I got to spend 4 days with my grandma. And she was at her nana's house weekend, which is her other grandmother. So she said, man, I only get to spend 3 days with my nana. She said, man, I wish I had 8 days in this week because I want to give my nana 4 and my mama 4 and my grandma 4. But she just loves her family. And I always post, like, I promise you, if it was a picture of a family, that'd be her in that picture because she wants her family. Like, my daughter told me, hey, man, I wish that Daddy, we stay right here, and my mom could stay next door, and then my nana could stay next door, and my grandma could stay right there, so I could just go down the street to all my family. Like, she loves her family.
Well, at least you know she ain't gonna put you in the home. She gonna put all y'all in the house on the same block.
That's why you got them girls, man. The girls ain't gonna let that.
That's true.
Yeah, you got too much going on.
You all right?
but you really just hit it to my point. This is gonna be kind of my like wrap-up point, right? And being of faith, being believers, right? I firmly believe everything happens according to what we need and not what we want to happen. Because how many of those things would you have done without the freedom of co-parenting? In such that in that manner of time, you know, PhD, career change, in the hustle and bustle of parenting, sometimes we lose an entire year. We say, damn, it's a birthday already, it's Christmas. You know what I mean? We lose so much time. So then in that opportunity, same with your daughter, to be the glue. It can't be, y'all can't have a bad relationship because she's not gonna allow bad relationships. Everybody got to be talking, everybody got to be on this one accord, but everybody got to be on the same page. I look at my co-parenting space as forcing me to deal with the things that I thought about, I guess maybe my stepfather, different relationships in my life growing up. It gave me an opportunity to view to see what I thought about it, but it also gave me an opportunity to be extremely a value add. What I experienced as a child, I could never do to her. So it forces me to think about it differently. So just how many things you look back on it, if there was anything along the journey, Keri, would you do anything differently?
I think of who I am is because of all of those experiences, and who my daughter is because we did not put that in her face, that we had those struggles. And so I can't say that I would do anything differently because I've learned so much from it. And now I'm in a place where I just want to share, what I've learned. So no, I can't think of anything I would do differently. I'm a firm believer, as you are, that things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, those lessons help you to help others along the way. So
Nick,
I don't
would you do anything
differently? I don't think there's a lot I would do differently. I think I would probably, the older me would probably tell the younger me, again, pick and choose your battle. You know what I'm saying, with this co-parenting thing. Because I think when I was younger, I just was at a firecracker because I want to do, and we were just dealing with cord and those issues, so a lot of friction, but just learning how to pick my battle. And I think the older I've gotten, picking my battles and just constantly, when we had this conversation, reinforcing certain things. And then even having difficult conversations in a better manner. Because I think sometimes you express some of your true feelings in frustration, and they're not being heard at that moment. To where we're in a positive state, maybe on a meetup, I can say, hey, I want to talk to you about school. And then we can have a conversation, and you're more likely to listen to me and take what I have serious, as opposed to in the midst of that text message, you just trying to find a way to curse me back out. So you're missing the point of me saying something about school. So it's like finding ways to just deliver the message in better setting, but then also, again, kind of just picking and choosing the battle.
Right.
But I say the second go around, I think I got it a little better. But because we just communicate a lot better as it relates to co-parenting. But I'm in a good space with it now. I think it continues to get better. And I often say this about co-parenting. It's like it worked. It's a working document. It's forever changing. Right.
Yeah.
If you get caught up in the saying, this one way, it ain't gonna work. Yeah. Something's gonna change, and you have to be okay with change. You have to be okay with change, and just always, again, keep the child in the forefront.
Yeah, I mean, and to what you just said, I think that's a perfect way to wrap the episode. That quote that Dr. Keri gave us, I won't quote it word for word, but you gave it to us twice. You'll close us out with it.
Sure. So do not keep your child in the middle of the disagreements, but keep your child in the center of your decisions.
Absolutely. What a way to close the episode. This has been another episode of the Fern Podcast. I'm Charles.
Nick.
Keri.
Absolutely. Until next time.
We out. I'm Nick Clark. This is the Firm's Podcast.